hold the radius gauge up to that as a backlight, and I can see what's going on.
That's very helpful for both oboe and English horn to know how to use that radius gauge.
Right. One of the problems we all have is, you need at least two factors in the pre-gouged piece. You need it to be truly flat and straight, and you need the curve to be even. So, it's a little bit of a toss-up to me even now, like which I go after first, right? Do I go after the curve first or the flatness first? And I need both. Sometimes I just do something as simple, it seems to work, of just, I don't know if you tried this, but just sort of rolling the tube on the table and then sort of watching it. And when it finally stops, that's, hopefully a flat piece. So, but then, you still have to put it up to the light on the back of the radius gauge. I do think it's important to have a radius gauge that has relatively shallow cups. I have an old radius gauge which I used for many years that was made by Brannan Woodwinds in Chicago.
Oh yeah,
same company, right? And that's a fine thing. It's very accurate. The cups are a little too deep, and the reason I think that's an issue is that sometimes the tube cane gets kind of caught up on the sides of the cup, so to speak, and so you're not really able to get sort of down to the bottom of the cup to tell where you are. And for English horn, I really like cane that's 12 millimeters. That works for me.
Regardless of the season?
Oh, well, yes, that's an excellent question, too. Yeah, the season is, that's an issue. And I know colleagues have spoken before about, like, in the scraping process, do they clip open? Do they leave it shut? Blah, blah, blah. I'm actually kind of somewhere in between. I mostly clip the reed open after I've tied it. I scrape it down fairly far and clip it open if I don't just sort of take it all the way to completion, which I do sometimes. But in the summer, particularly at Tanglewood, it is very humid, and then I often leave it closed overnight or maybe a couple days because I find that it helps to keep it from being too wildly open. That's a real problem, I think, with English horns. Too much opening.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's like everything, right? I call it three bears porridge, right? Not too open, not too closed.
Just right.
Right. Which are all sort of struggling to find at times.
Thanks so much for listening. That was part 1 of Rob Sheena's Reed Talk interview. We had such a lovely conversation with Rob, and he shared so much fantastic information with us that we decided to split his conversation into 2 episodes. In part 2, Rob delves into the audition process and shares some very sage advice on how to prepare for auditions and how to prepare for those big English horn solos. Please join us very soon for episode 2 of Reed Talk with Rob Sheena.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have questions you want us to ask our guests, please email those questions to readtalkpodcast@gmail.com.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode.
Sending good vibes from our Reed desk to yours. I'm Courtney Miller.
And I'm Margaret Marco.